Hi, it's Alison from the Law School Toolbox. Today, we're diving into essential tips for 3Ls who are gearing up for the bar exam.
Another question we get asked a lot is how to balance your life and bar prep. Such a great time
That is
of
a
life.
great question. Really great question. Well, Lee, you have a story around
I
this. I know you recently
do.
started dating your now
I
husband.
did. Yes. My husband and I met right before I started my 3L year. And then we were living together during the bar. And it was intense. He did not have lawyers in his family. He had never experienced it. He was not prepared. My parents sat him down, who were both lawyers, and told him he wasn't allowed to break up with me that summer, no matter what I did or what he felt that he needed to do. They said that they were that he was just not allowed, that I got a free pass all summer. I didn't know about that when it happens. I was told about that afterwards. And then even at our wedding a couple of years later, he did put in his wedding vows that he knew I was the one when he lived through bar prep with me. And I thought that was, I think, romantic. I think he might have called me a lunatic. I can't remember. There was some colorful phrasing. It's gotten fuzzy. We've been married a long time now.
Well, I think if you survived that, you could probably survive most
It's true.
anything because it is a very, very intense time for everyone. We are all probably pretty type A overachievers. People who are lawyers tend not to really love uncertainty. And this is a process that is very uncertain throughout. You never quite feel like you know enough. So I think you just have to kind of make a plan in advance for it and also get a support system in place. Do you know that you're prone to anxiety and things like that? Well, you probably need a therapist who you're meeting with regularly. Um, you know, and as much as you can, I think it's good to sort of treat this like a full-time job, but be realistic about your breaks, your personal time. You're going to probably need to be pretty structured just to have time to fit in your exercise and your laundry and cooking and all of these things. Um, you know, you want to kind of clear your schedule for the summer as much as you can, but sometimes I think that trips people up too. I've talked to people recently who failed, who said, I just went all in. I ignored my kids. I focused completely on this. And in the end, I don't think it was great for my mental well-being. And I can absolutely see that. I think you have to try to be as balanced as possible.
Yeah, I think life doesn't stop. You can put some parameters on it, but I think especially if you have significant others, children, friends, dogs. I mean, my cat didn't really care when if I'm setting for the bar. But generally speaking, I think you need to still invest in what you have going on. Now, there's a limit to that, right? I don't recommend getting married during bar prep. We have heard that. Or moving during bar prep is also really distracting. But
Or both.
Or both.
I've heard both.
That's true. Or both. But I do think that you are wise to try and take care of what you can and then save your free time for the things that are really meaningful. So do you really need to get your eyes checked during bar prep? Could you take care of that before? That may not be the best way to use an afternoon. But going hiking with a friend on a Sunday morning to get some sunshine, maybe that is worth the break because it's going to clear your head and you're going to get some social interaction. And it's even better if that friend's not setting for the bar because then they will talk to you about other things.
True. Yeah. I mean, when I was studying for the California bar, I got the unlimited yoga pass at the studio close to my house, and I was going twice a day. And I think that was actually great because it got me out of the house. I got some exercise. It was very calming. At some point, they asked me why I was there so frequently all of a sudden. And I said I was studying for the bar, and the woman says, "Oh, maybe you should come 3 times a day in that case."
Yeah. I do think, though, that one of the things that we oftentimes aren't really great about is saying how people can help us. So if you have family and friends who are coming to you saying, what could I do to help you prep for the bar? You might want to kind of prepare some answers of things that could be helpful. Could they be making you freezer meals? And so you can just thaw a can of soup or lasagna or whatever out of your freezer so you don't have to cook. Or do you have a dog? Could they walk your dog? Or could they help come over and clean your house with you? So, you have some social interaction where you're not doing all of your chores alone. Or could they, run some errands for you? I think that that's something you can do. And folks like to help. So if you can say, this is what would help, or a gift certificate to get a massage, or a yoga pass, or a new pair of running shoes so you can go run in the park. It doesn't really matter what it is. But if you can tell people what you need, you are more likely to receive what you need. And I think that's a really powerful life lesson. And as I get older and wiser, I see it play out over and over again. And I think it just really helps everyone feel like that they can both be supportive and be supported.
Right. And I think that makes so much more sense than people just guessing, because then they're getting you something that you don't want and don't need. And it's probably a stressor for
Right.
you versus like, what would be really helpful is if you could give me a certificate to Instacart so someone else
Mhm.
could go grocery shop for me.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Right.
I'd be like, great, I will do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about this last week. I had to run to 2 different drugstores. I won't bore you with why. It was bad planning on my part. But it took me like an hour and a half to run that errand. There was traffic around one of them, and then like the line in one of them was long, and then my phone died. I couldn't pull up the receipt that I needed to take care of the one thing. And I just realized how you can get into these moments where you're not even doing anything that mission critical. These were all just errands that needed to be run. But because of the time that I picked to run the errand, which probably wasn't my best choice, and the poor location that I was in, I ended up burning a good chunk of my afternoon. And I think that that's where I think a little bit of pre-planning or a little bit of help, asking for help can come into play. So you don't lose hours doing things that are of no value. And it's not like going to CVS is really a happy outing for most people.
No, this is when it might make sense to plan ahead and get that prescription that you use every, day mailed to you in advance so you have extra.
Yes. So you don't lose 90 minutes of your life to the lines at CVS.
Yeah, like anytime I try to order something online now, I really try to order with extra time and not at the last minute so that I'm like, "Oh, you know what? If it doesn't come for a week, that's fine."
So true.
Um, because otherwise it's like, "Oh, I had to pay extra to get it here faster." And it's just like, "Oh,
I know.
no."
So these little things of planning ahead in the spring can just lighten your mental load. And I think that that mental load also, as much as you can automate or get things set up, it just gives you less stuff to stress about because life will happen and something will still happen during bar prep. Your car is going to break down or a friend's going to need something or a family member will need something because that is life. So plan for what you can.
Exactly. Well, thanks for watching that one and come back and check out our next question. And check out Bar Exam Toolbox if you want to reach out or learn more.
Thanks for listening and be sure to subscribe, like, and leave us a comment if you have any other questions you would like us to answer in future episodes.